welcome you to our program that is entitled Integrated Theology. This week will be the last class in course number 3. I am your host, Bishop Dr. Derek A. Reeves. Today we're going to begin and hopefully complete the supplemental lectures to Lecture 21. Today's supplemental lecture, Lecture 1, is Integrative Mensiological Theology, the focus. It's very important when we consider what we call mensiological theology, or specifically dealing with integrated mensiological theology. I want to talk about what the focus of this is and what the importance of it is. There are many theological implications of understanding what we mean when we say integrated mensiological theology. It specifically will deal with understanding of the human mind and specifically the intellect as it relates to the divine or to God. When we consider it, the mind as the imagio or imago Dei or imagio Dei, this would be paramount. It would explore how the human intellect reflects the divine mind, delving into theological concepts like rationality as a divine gift. Remember, when we think of the Logos, we think of the thinker, of the thought of thought. And so rationality, the capacity to think with critical thinking, logical thinking, as a matter of fact, the ability to think is transmitted from Logos into every created individual. And so when we speak of what we would call a integrated mensiological theology, we're speaking of then the pattern of the mind of God, the image of the mind of God, the very likeness of the mind of God that is now being imparted into logical thinking or sentient beings. It can deal also with rationality as a divine gift, the mind's capacity for truth. Always remember, when we speak of truth, we speak of that which is, and it corresponds to how the mind of God thinks. All truth is founded upon the will of God and the purpose of God. And so because God understands what truth must be, what laws must be, he then creates a universe that reflects his nature and his character concerning his things, or his thoughts, And so this would deal with the mental capacity for truth. It is the investigation of the intellect's ability to apprehend truth, both natural and revealed truth, and how this aligns with God as the source of all truth. It would also then deal with creativity and innovation in understanding or searching out the human intellect or the intellectual capacity for creativity as an echo of God's own creative power. We now begin to understand the Selimic Demuthean model of man, the image and the likeness of God in man through the capacity of his mens. And then it would, of course, deal with the understanding of God's mens as far as it being a part of his character. He and his word are one. The word then, because there is a complexity of uniquely different aspects or terms for word, each of those terms are simply an augmentation of understanding what the mind of God is, or what the mind is in its totality. And so it would include then understanding God's mind, understanding God's intellect, his emotion, and his will as being a part or an aspect of himself. It would also deal with noetic effects of the fall. When we speak of something that's noetic, we're talking about then the utilization of the mind. We're talking about the utilization or anything that's related to the mind, intellect, or thought. And so the noetic then is the actual utilization of the mind, the intellect, or of any type of thought. And so when we speak again on what we would call mensiology, or what the integrated mensiological theology, we're talking again about the creative innovation of God and understanding the human intellect as it is compared to the understanding of the divine intellect. And in dealing with the fallen intellect, it would deal with how sin has impacted the original model and desire of God for the human mind to be. It could also deal with the renewal of the mind and the role of the Holy Ghost in preserving or repairing the mind. It would definitely deal with the knowledge of God through the intellect, natural theology, which is rational proofs, revealed knowledge or revelation, and then it could deal with the theological method and epistemology. And so specifically then, when we deal with what we call the Integrative Mensiological Theology, we're understanding God, we're understanding the blueprint and the entirety of the knowledge of the mind, the concept of the mind as God created it, the purpose of the mind. And then we would utilize this in understanding if humans and angels mirror the mind of God, then it would help us to understand the mind of God as being stable, pure, the mind of God as being omniscient, omnipotent, and being the solidification of how thoughts could be. And so it will take us back to Logos, understanding the thinker of the thought of thought, he who is the creator, the what we would call the primus thinker, the first thinker who created thoughts and is within the totality of his nature, the power of thinking, he who instills, prepares, and enables other beings to think, to conform to thoughts and knowledge. This is all the time we have. I thank you for joining us. This has been Integrated Theology, and I am your host. Today we have just finished Supplemental Lecture 1. God bless you.